Can hit record. Okay, so this section is chapter 10. And what we're going to start doing, chapter 10 is about graphing. So it's going to review the graphing that we did earlier in the year, but it has a new basic graph. So our graphs, let me change the graph paper for you guys.
Oh, no.
So we changed to graph paper. And what we have is we have equations that have a square root in it, like the problems you were doing in section 9.1. So we're going to graph y equals square root of x. And then later, we're going to graph y equals the cube root of x. So we're going to start with those two. And then we're going to graph some more as well. And then we'll move them and shift them and do all sorts of things. Okay. So the only thing that's strange about these graphs is you can't pick.
Oh, someone came in.
Hey, Brianna, we just started. Okay, so you didn't miss anything except me writing chapter 10 graphing? Okay. So y equals square root of x. And we want to graph y equals the cube root of x. Now, these graphs were some of those shapes that we investigated on Desmos. Okay, but we don't remember which ones. So we're going to make a table. Now, the only problem with this table is we don't know the square root. Oh, that's really short. Okay, at the end. Okay, Brianna, at the end. But we're being recorded in a YouTube video right now, so at the end, I'll introduce you. Okay, so what numbers do you know the square root of?
49?
Do you know the square root of 3?
No.
No.
No, so I don't want to plug that number in. I don't want to plug in 2 because I don't know that number.
4?
So how about 4? I like that. So let's substitute in 4. Now, that's actually going to be my 4th number I'm going to substitute in. Not because it's 4, but because of another way I'm going to show you how to graph. Okay, well, you know what? I don't think my volume's all the way up on my tablet. So let me make sure so I can hear you guys better. Oh, yeah. It was not all the way up. Okay. Okay, so we are going to pick 4. Now, we're going to start with -1. -2 doesn't make sense. -1's a little questionable. What are normal numbers we pick?
-2, -1, 0, 1, 2.
Exactly. So those are the normal numbers we pick. But we can't pick 2 because we don't know the square root of 2. It's a decimal. It's like 1.4. So I don't want to graph decimals. So we're going to pick -1, 0, and 1. And then specifically in square root graphs, we're going to pick 4. Okay, so remember graphing, we haven't done graphing in a couple months, is you substitute the number into the equation. Okay, so we substitute the number into the equation. Okay, so those are our values. Now, you guys said you knew what the square root of 4 was, but what is it? You can either type it or say it.
2.
2, perfect. Okay, so 2 is right here. And the square root of 1 is what?
1.
I didn't hear it if any of you answered. What was it?
1.
1. Okay, so 1. So what's the square root of 0?
0.
0. Now, square root of -1. I need to grab my chart. Square root of -1. Oh, it's right. Okay, so square root of -1. What's the square root of -1?
1.
1. 1 times 1 is 1. How do I get the negative? So it's a good answer, but not quite right.
-1?
-1. What's -1 times -1?
Oh.
1.
1, okay. Right? Okay, so this was the one where I told you guys, it was a long time ago, maybe 2 months, and I told you that if you take square roots of negatives, they make imaginary numbers. So put a little I, a little rounded I.
Oh,
Thank you, Brianna. That's nice. I'm getting tan from being outside. That's a nice compliment. Maybe the color, right? And I'm not wearing my normal t-shirt. I actually brushed my hair today. Usually I don't, and I throw that cap on. Okay. Okay. Square root of -1 is I. But I you can't graph. So we're going to put no. So we're going to put right here. Oh, my pen's not working. Seriously? Come on, pen. Why don't you want to work? Okay, now it's working. Okay, so we're going to put no right here. Now, I used to not substitute -1 in, but I realized that when students would graph it, they would end up graphing it wrong because they thought information was over to the left. So I'm going to show you what we're going to do for our graph. We're going to graph 0, 0, and we're going to graph 1, 1. And then we're going to go over to 4 and graph 4, 2. And on the left side, we're going to put no, right where -1 would go. Does this graph look familiar?
yes.
Which letter? Remember, all our graphs were letters?
R.
Yeah, this is the R. Exactly. So this is the R, and it kind of looks like this. And actually, if I substituted another one in 9, what's the square root of 9?
3.
3.
3, exactly. So 3. So if I go all the way over to 9, if you could fit it, 9 is 3. So we're going to put a little quotes down here and call it the R graph. And R is for root. Specifically, this one's a square root. But we could remember that the R for root is there. And then today, if we'll have time, we're going to shift it. We're going to move it up, move it left, move it right from the different movements that we used to do with the graphs. But I want to show you a contrasting one, which is a cube root. Okay, which is another shape. I'm going to still start with -1, 0, and 1, but I'm not going to pick 4. So what's a little tricky with these graphs is that you don't want to pick the normal numbers because the graphs, we don't know the decimals. And we're trying to do these without a calculator. Okay, so we need the cube root of -1. We need the cube root of 0. And we need the cube root of 8. And then later, once we know what number we're going to pick for our 4th number, we're going to want the cube root of it. So we're going to actually do 5 numbers on this one. Oh, my 3rd one's wrong, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I said cube root of 1, but I didn't do that. Okay, so remember when you're looking for a cube root, I'll do this one first because it's positive, is I need 3 numbers. Let me draw that better. I need 3 numbers to multiply to be 1. And they have to be matching. So what 3 matching numbers multiply to be 1?
1.
1. 1 times 1 times 1. So the cube root is 1. And then I have 3 numbers and I'm trying to multiply to be 0. So what's that one?
0.
0. And 3 numbers multiplied to be -1.
-1.
-1. And does that work with the signs?
Yeah.
It does. So in square roots, I'm going to highlight over here on the left side. In square roots, you can't get 2 to be -1 because 2 negatives multiply to be a positive. But in cube root, you can actually get a number. So I'm not going to get a no. I'm going to actually get a number. So I'm going to highlight that in blue. Maybe put a star by it. Okay, so for cube roots, it's possible, but for square roots, it's not possible. So they're going to look a little bit different. Okay, so let me fill those numbers in the table. They happen to match. And I don't memorize the numbers. I work them out. I don't memorize what numbers go in the table because otherwise sometimes people memorize the wrong list for the wrong type. Okay, now a cube root. Cube root. Do I know the cube root of 5? What 3 numbers multiply to be 5?
That's a prime number.
Right? How about 4? Can I get 3 matching numbers to give me 4?
No.
No. So those are not good choices. So I want to choose this number. I'll highlight right here. So right here, I'm going to pick a number to go there. Okay, so I'm going to draw an arrow and I'm going to tell you later how I could tell what I'm going to pick. But for now, I want you guys to try to figure it out. So what number do you know the square root of? The cube root of, I mean.
8.
8? What do you think? What's the cube root of 8?
2.
2? So do you agree? Do you know the cube root of 8?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're choosing, oops, I put the wrong thing on the line. So we're choosing to substitute in 8, but thinking of the 8 is the problem. I know the cube root of 8 is 2, but thinking I want it to be 8 is confusing. So the formula, if you want to think of it like a formula, is you do 2 to the power in the corner. You see this 3 right here in the corner? That's how I picked this exponent. And that's how I picked the number to go there. So for a future problem, if the corner number is a 5, then I don't know what number to pick. I'll pick 2 to the 5th power. And I'll show you. I'll show you how that works when we get to it. But that 8's a little strange. And then I need to draw my arrow a little different because I want to plug in one more number. So if -1 works, then you also want to substitute in negative the number that you just picked. So let me make sure that's clear for people then who aren't here and are watching later. So this is a -8 right there. So I want to know what the cube root of -8 is. So I need 3 numbers that multiply to be -8. Are there 3 numbers that multiply to be -8?
Yes.
All the same number?
Mm-hmm.
Which number?
-2.
-2? What do you think? -2? So this is -2, so that goes in your table. So if it's a cube root, all numbers are possible. Okay, I'm gonna highlight that in blue. But if it's a square root, I'm gonna highlight this one in yellow. If it's a square root, you're only allowed to pick positive numbers. And that's why I wrote no in the negative section. Okay, now the only thing when you're making the graph on the cube roots is how are you going to graph 8, 2 and -8, 2? So isn't that first number left and right? And the second number is up and down? So what you get when you get the cube root graph is it's really wide. So you kind of need to make it 16 wide. So it's going to go all the way across your paper. It doesn't have to go too high because it only has to go up to 2. So I'll wait until you guys make your graphs, but make it a really, really wide graph where each square is worth 1. Okay, so we're going to graph those 5 points. So we're going to graph -1, which is right here, 0, 0, 1, 1, which if I didn't know any better, I would just draw a straight line. But when I substituted 8 in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it goes up to 2. So it's not a straight line. And then -8, 1, 2, that's wait, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, -2. So what did we call this graph? Do you guys remember what we called this one? Yes, we are going to have homework on this today. It's going to be some graphs.
Z.
And then what did you say the shape was?
A Z. Sorry.
We didn't call it a Z, but it kind of looks like a Z. In Spanish, what sounds like a Z? I call it an S. But you know what? I didn't make up the name. One of my students made up the name a few years ago. They said, "Oh, that looks like an S." I thought it looked like an R, the other one, but they said this one looks like an S. So they called them the snakes and then the R's. They said, "Oh, look, it's an S like a snake." If it helps you remember it, right? That's good. Okay, so that's the graph. What's nice about you 3 coming today is you get 5 points for being here, just for being here. You also get 5 points for taking the notes, and then you also get 5 points for doing the homework. And if you don't have time to do one of those things, then I put NA in the grade book so it doesn't hurt your grade. And then all 3 of you have wonderful grades, so it doesn't, regardless, you're just trying to learn the material for the future. And you'll see this one again in Algebra 2. But what I really like about this section is if you don't remember how to graph a square root graph or a cube root graph, you'll be fine in Algebra 2. But I want to remind you about the shifts. Remember, like inside, opposite, outside, same, all those rules. So it's a good idea to get the graphing to remember your graphing. Okay. Okay, so this is the shape. So we call this an S graph. Now the S graph has no nose. Okay, and one of the confusions that people have on the R graph is they'll draw the R graph like this. I just drew those dots in space, but they draw it this way and they pass this one. And then that's not what the graph looks like. So what helps is when I put no over here, then I know don't pass it. And then when I graph it, I actually start from this part and graph it to the right. So people sometimes who graph it to the left, if the no wasn't there, they pass it. That's how we do all graphs, right? You graph a couple points and then you pass it in both directions. So the no is to help remind you not to pass it. The homework is going to be due tomorrow night, not tonight. But I don't check it until the following Monday. So if you don't have time tomorrow because you're busy with your other subjects, you could be doing it. You could be doing it on Thursday during math time. We're gonna have another video on Thursday, so we're gonna have 2 videos a week. I know usually you guys are used to 4 lessons a week, but we're just doing 2. So kind of the way that it works is 1 day is for a lesson, and then 1 day is to do your homework. So today's the lesson, and then tomorrow, whatever time you want, you could do the homework. I'm going to have it due tomorrow at midnight or 11:59. But if you don't do it, you could do it the next day. It's not a problem. Exactly. So Brianna, whenever you want to do this, it's fine. And as long as it's up until Monday, I will count it. If it's past Monday, I might not count it. But you have an A anyway, so you don't have to worry about the points, just the material. And I know you want me to look at it. Yeah, so it's no problem. So I appreciate that you're here for the videos. So if you can, if you do a couple of the problems on the homework and you upload it, I'll still see it. Okay, so I'll still see it. And then I won't give you points if it doesn't help your grade. Okay, so you can upload any parts that you want, and nothing that you upload will hurt your grade in my class. Okay? Yeah, so don't worry, and lates are fine as well. Okay, not during the school year, but we're in a little different situation. Okay, so definitely prioritize your other subjects, especially U3, because your grades are good. Okay? Okay, so let's see. So what I want to graph next, I want to graph this one. Ready? Square root of x minus 2 plus 5. So the reason why I wanted you to, why we're going into chapter 10, and I'm not just saying forget chapter 10. The other classes are prioritizing chapter 9, but you guys, we did all of chapter 9. So we're done with that. So I wanted to do some parts of chapter 10 in reviewing kind of what you're going to need for the future. Okay? But if you don't have chapter 10 like perfectly down, you'll still be good in algebra 2. Now, chapter 9, you need to be an expert. Okay? Okay, so for this one, do you remember what they did? Do you remember what these two do to a graph?
The stairs and the up and down.
The stairs? Okay. So who was the stairs? The
The
outside
5.
or the inside?
The outside.
Okay, the outside. So let's put stairs. So remember, my classroom is up the stairs. So this is outside. So let's put outside. Outside were the stairs. So then when you're on the stairs, do you walk left and right on the stairs? Like on one stair, you walk left and right? Or on the outside of the stairs, do you walk up and down? Exactly. So up and down. So anything that's outside, when you're graphing, you're going to move it up and down, up or down. And then the stairs. At the end of the day, when you go down the stairs, am I going up the stairs or am I going down the stairs with you? Are we doing the same thing or are we doing opposite things? Same. So we're doing the same thing. So what would same mean on a positive 5? Would this mean same sign? Exactly. So would this be up 5, down 5, right 5, or left 5? So this would be up 5. See, where's at my tablet? And this is my new tablet. My new tablet has tons of memory. Okay, it's fine again. So I don't know why I bought a new tablet from school. I love technology. But I was thinking, well, my old tablet, you know how it kept freezing in class? So I was talking to my brother, and he was not a good help because he said, oh, yeah, you should buy a new tablet. So that was not good if I was not looking to spend money. But it has more RAM, so it's faster, and I can store more videos. The first couple videos I made on my old tablet, I had to keep deleting them. And then if the YouTube video hadn't posted yet, then I was having trouble. So this has a lot more memory. Okay, so this is up 5. Did it seriously just mess up again? Okay, so let's see. But you know what? Maybe I'm using the memory already because I have all the videos stored. So maybe the problem is the memory. Or it's hot. Come on, video. Oh, that is letting me press stuff. Oh, now it's working. Oh, you guys, you know why it wasn't working? You guys, it wasn't working because I was on eraser. Anyway, that's perfect. Thank you. Yes, I do. I have a memory card. I don't remember if I put it in yet though, because you have to have the little like the pointy stick, and you have to poke it in and then put the memory card in. So I don't know if I did or not. I don't remember. I was thinking of it. I did it on one of my devices, but I don't remember which device. I think it might have been this one. Okay, so this would be what? Up 5? Yeah, but you guys, it wasn't that. It was that I was on eraser. And if I'm on eraser and I'm trying to write, of course it's not going to write. Okay, so that was user error. Okay, what about the inside? You guys remember what we said for inside, the parentheses? Yep, inside was left and right. Because we're in the classroom. Okay, now what happens when I walk this way or that way? Oh, this is perfect. On our video, same thing. If okay, ready? I'm moving my finger to the right. Is that to your left? Is this to the right or to the left? You have to look at my face though. Am I going to the right or to the left? Can you guys see me? You guys have to look at the one that has my face. Oh, you can't see me. Okay, look at, you know how you have you have the presentation one? Find the one that has my face. Okay, so is this to the right or is this to the left?
I'm in a meeting.
So what do you think? To the right? To the left? Okay, never mind.
Left.
To the left. Is this to the left or to the right?
Yeah.
To the
Left.
Okay, for me it's to the right. So it's the same thing. You guys just can't tell. But so this is I think this is to the right, but you think it's to the left. So it's the same thing in our Google Meet classroom. Okay, so left right, remember, was opposite. Right? Because if I'm facing you in the classroom, when I go to the right, you think I'm going left. And when I think I'm going left, you think I'm going right, because we're looking at it from opposite point of view. Okay, so that's opposite. So in this case, it's a -2. So that means you're going to go right 2. So I'm going to go right 2. And that's the part I really want you to practice, not just the S and the R graphs. I really want you to focus on the movements. Okay, in Algebra 2, that's the first thing they start with. Okay, so I'd like to at least have it in your head now so that in a year and a little bit, when you're in my Algebra 2 class, this year I'm teaching 2 Algebra 2 classes. So you guys, in 2 years, you can take my Algebra 2 class again. If you take geometry, they won't let you take, if you take geometry in summer school, they won't let you take my class as a sophomore. But since you were in my class as a freshman, they will let you take my class as a junior. And the way my schedule is this year and probably next year too, is I have my double period again. And then I have my 2 senior Algebra 2 classes. It's called Senior Algebra 2, but they let juniors come in if you took double period. And then I also teach the senior class, not AP Stats, but there's another class that's not for college credit, but you can take that. And I teach that too. It's called Probability and Statistics. So that's my schedule. Okay, so for this, and then probably the year after that too. Okay. Yeah, and you guys, no pressure to answer. You can answer in your head. You don't have to answer out loud. It's kind of intimidating. Okay, so right 2. So let's draw this picture. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do our parent graph. Okay, so we're going to graph it with the parent graph. So write that. This is called the parent. Some teachers call it the basic graph. That's usually what I call it. And sometimes it's called the common graph. Now, I always pick -1, 0, and 1 for the radical problems. And then this number, for me, it's always different. Okay, so I take the square root of -1. I take the square root of 0. I take the square root of 1. Now, I'm supposed to have 2 things that multiply to be 1, 2 things that multiply to be 0, and 2 things that multiply to be -1. So a square root of 1 is 1. Square root of 0 is 0. And the square root of -1 is impossible. Now in algebra 1, it's impossible. In algebra 2, it's called I. So over here in the table, we just put no, meaning don't graph it, put a no, and don't pass that line when you're doing it. Okay, this is the tricky part though. Okay, so this is the tricky part. The tricky part is what is the fourth number I should pick? So what you're going to pick is you're going to always pick 2, and then this number in the corner, I changed colors for you, is the number in the corner of the radical. So if that was a cube root, I would pick 2 to the third. And since it's a square root, I pick 2 to the second. So that's 4. So now once I take the square root of 4, I think, oh, I know that answer. That's 2. But it's tricky to pick the yellow number. Now, tonight's homework is only going to have cube roots and square roots. So you're either going to pick 4 or 8. 4 if it's a square root, and then 8 if it's a cube root. But we're going to write the 2 to the second because in Thursday's lesson, we're going to do fourth roots and fifth roots, and that 2 will be 2 to the fifth power or 2 to the fourth power when you're working those out. Okay, and then that's actually all you need. I'm not going to pick -4. So I guess I'll write -4 here, but I'm going to put another no because it's the same reason as that one. That's 2i. So that's still a no. So these are the ones I'm going to graph to make my R. Okay, now in the S's, there'll be 5 points. I think I'm going to graph this to the side without this line here. I think I'm going to graph this to the side. Okay, so I have my graph, and I have 0, 0, 1, 1, 4, 2. So I'll wait till you guys get there. That's kind of cool. My mom just sent me a text that said she has a math question. Okay. So do you guys have this picture? Okay, you guys, we'll stop the video after this problem. And then we'll see if he's still here. Okay, so I graphed this one. I'm going to make this one dashed. Make that one dashed. And then what did we say we wanted to do to it? Right 2, up 5. So make each of your, I forgot my no. No, okay. So that's an R graph. And then each of our dots is going to go right 2, up 5. Right 2, up 5. Right 2, up 5. And then no is over here. And then that's your graph. Okay, so graph that. And then I would like to graph one more. I think, yeah, we definitely have time to graph another. So we're going to graph one more. Brianna, I'll find a picture for you. So we'll see. But in the meantime, draw your graph, okay? So how's your graph coming? Are you guys done? Are you ready for our last example? Because we just have one example left. Maybe two. Maybe two examples. Okay, so you guys are ready? Okay, so square roots look like R's. So write yourself a little message over here. Square roots look like an R. Okay, R for root. That might help you. Okay, so let's do another one. Y equals, so this will be our last example. Well, it's so hard for me to choose. We have 12 minutes left, so two more examples. Okay, so cube root of x plus 2 minus 4. X plus 2 minus 4. Okay, so tell me what the 2 does and tell me what the 4 does. My mom's asking me a coronavirus question. Yeah, she's asking me if there are 54,000 cases in California and this many cases in New York. But so I'm going to have to concentrate on the answer to the question. New York population is half of California. So I'm going to have to check that for her. But not right now. Let's see. Okay. Oh, I know where the picture is. Oh, it's in a different location. What is that? I don't even know where that location is. Okay, we'll see about it. Okay, so for this one, what did you guys write? Let's see if you wrote the right thing. Yes, down 4, I agree. So down 4, that's outside, is the same. And then left 2. Perfect. Okay, good. Good, good, good. And then your basic graph or your parent graph is the cube root of x. You're going to make your table. Now you could just copy down the table from the other one, but you want to try to process how you're going to remember the difference between these. When we have to remember, in algebra 2, maybe there's 8 different graphs that you have to remember. So cube root of -1, cube root of 0, cube root of 1. So what number 3 times gives you 1? 1. What number 3 times gives you 0? 0. What number 3 times gives you -1? This one's a little tricky, so let's write it out. -1, well, I need -1. Okay, so -1. It's not a no the way it is with the 2, with the even. So this is actually a number. This is a number. That's a number. And then the question is, what do I pick? What do I pick for the 4th number? So there's a magic number that will work in each problem. So 2 to the corner number. Okay, so 2 to the corner number. And then 2 to the corner number is 2 times 2 times 2, which is why I'm picking 8. And remember, the reason we picked 8 is because you knew what the answer for 8 was. We were picking one that you know the answer for. And then I'm also going to pick the negative version of 8. So I'm going to pick this, and then I pick -2 to the 3rd. That's what I always pick. Okay. So let's do those. The cube root of 8. So what number 3 times gives you 8? What number 3 times gives you 8? 2. I agree. What number 3 times gives you -8? Oh, no. Okay. What number 3 times -2? So this one's -2. Okay, now I have this big space up here where I see a big wide space because the cube roots need a wide space. And you don't want to graph them like by twos because then the graph won't like be in your head with the right scaling. Okay, so at this moment you don't want to do that, and I'll show you what we'll do on the next day. Okay, so 1, 1, -1, -1. I guess the main thing is you're going to want to do the homework before you watch the next video. So the next video I'm doing at, I believe, 10:30 on Thursday. So you're going to want to practice this homework before you watch that video. If you want to watch that video live, which is always fun, if you want to watch the video live, then it feels like we're in class. So if you want to watch the video live, then you want to do the homework for this section before that day, okay, or before that time. Or you should just watch that video. Don't watch it live. Just watch it later. You know, do your homework, and then you can do your homework for DL5. Actually, we're on what, DL3? So do your homework. This is DL3. Did I put that at the top? No. Just put that DL3. Okay. So actually, so 8 was 2, and then -8. That's -4, -5, -6, -7, -8. So -8, -2. And then this one, I'm going to make it dashed because that's not the real graph. That's just the parent. Okay. And it doesn't stay at -2 forever. So you do want to make your line to go a little below -2 when you're drawing your S. So you kind of want to keep it in the between 2 and 3 section. And then you told me you wanted it to go left 2. So 1, 2, down 4. Left 2, down 4. Left 2, down 4. Left 2, down 4. Left 2, down 4. And then this is my final graph. Except that end is a little bad. Like it should keep going down. That's not that good either. It doesn't have to be perfect, but there we go. So it kind of looks like that. And that looks like an S graph. Now, did I do it right though? We said go left 2 and down 4. So the old 0, 0 should be at -2, 4. Oh, shoot. Did you guys see what happened? We have a tragedy. Do you guys see what tragedy we have? Okay. Oh, no. We don't have a tragedy. Never mind. My tragedy was I looked up above the red line and it said right 2. I was like, shoot, I was supposed to make it go left. I was supposed to make it go right and I made it go left. Okay. So this is the answer. Okay. So I'm going to leave this up here, but I'm going to stop the video. So, but I'm going to keep talking to you. Okay. So I'm going to keep talking to the people who are here live. Hi, Ariana. Okay. So I am going to stop the video. Stop